we're to multiply using the area model. Now, I drew these one little piece at a time for numbers 1 and 2, but I don't suggest you actually doing that. As we've done in class, you just draw one large square and break it up into the sizes that you need. So in this first one, since my dimensions are x plus 5 and x plus 5, and we know going in that these are all going to be squares, got x and then plus there are 5 green ones, so positive 5. Then this is also x plus 5. So what are we looking at then when we fill in this top right corner with all the little apricot squares? Well, we would have one of the big blue x squared. We would have 5 green ones going sideways and 5 going up, so that means a total of 10 x tiles. And then since this square of yellows or apricots here is 5 by 5, that's 25 of those. When we do one that's x plus 7 by x plus 7, that's going to result in a single x squared tile. 7 and 7 makes 14 of the green ones, positive x's. And then if this top right section is 7 by 7, that means there are 49 little unit tiles. All right, so if you're not going to draw them one at a time, here's what I suggested. When we're doing squares, go ahead and draw your square. If x plus 8 quantity squared means we're really doing x plus 8 and another x plus 8. So each side is x plus 8. That means one single blue one. One single blue square, that's the x squared. And then we need 8 of the long skinny green ones going along the side and up the other side. So we just need to split that then into 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then, and I should have just drawn those all the way through, these little apricot ones are the result of extending both the vertical and horizontal green tiles. Okay, so what we end up with, since this is x plus 8 and x plus 8 going up the side, we end up with a total of 1 x squared tile, 16 x tiles, and then 64 of the little unit tiles. Now, x minus 11 squared, which, once again, that would mean both dimensions, the length and width, are both x minus 11. Now remember, that has to change to do minus 11. We're going to need those long skinny tiles to be the red ones. Now, I'm going to make my little x squared tile smaller this time because I know I have to fit 11 of the long skinny ones. And they, again, should be red. So all of this red and all of this red. And we need 11 each way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and these two will have to be fat, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so what do I end up with? Here's x minus 11 on this side and x minus 11 that side. That gives me a total of 1 single x squared, 22 negative x tiles, and then I would have, because it's 11 by 11, I have 121 of these. Now, are they positive or are they negative? Well, each one of these is the result of combining, like if I go to any single little unit square, for example, this one, its the result of combining a negative and a negative. Well, two negatives, when you multiply, make a positive. If I decided to look at this tile, that's the result of a negative and a negative. So that makes a positive. So that would be the case for all 121 of these. So they are all positive. So looking at those four examples, and this question number 5 is actually on the next page, but it would help to look at 1 through 4. Write a rule for finding the coefficient of the x term when you are simplifying this x plus q squared. So when we know we have both the length and the width, the same exact expression, where do we get this middle term? Well, when it was x plus 8, we got positive 16. When it was minus 11, we got minus 22. So it turns out that the coefficient of the x term is just 2 times whatever that q is. And it holds true if the q is negative, then so is the coefficient of the x term. All right, so let's complete the square without pictures. All right. So we have to fill in this blank. What would that third term be? And then also write it in factored form. So 2 answers for each of these. Now to get that number, we chop the middle term in half. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then square it, which is 16. So I got that by 8 divided by 2 squared. All right, in factored form, this is x, it's plus, because that middle term is positive, plus, and it's just the square root of the 16, or half of the 8. Whatever way you want to think of it, they both have to be true. Okay, and that 4 is because that's 8 over 2. All right, so here, when we take negative 10, the middle term, divide it by 2, that's negative 5, and square it, we have 25. In factored form, that would be x minus the middle term divided by 2 was 5 squared. It's minus because that's minus. Chop 16 in half, we get 8. Square it, you have 64. Factored form, and we're going to use half of positive 16 is positive 8. Half of negative 6 is negative 3. Square that is 9. Factored form, and it's a perfect square. I know it's going to be some quantity squared, so it's x. Half of negative 6 is negative 3. Half of negative 22 is negative 11. Square that is 121. Factored form, x, and then we take half of negative 22 is negative 11. Half of 18 is 9. Squared is 81. Factored form, x, half of 18 is plus 9.